Hello and welcome. It is the 21st day of July 2019. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel where, like always, all bets, trades, and of the like, well, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. As far as the Bitcoin chart related against that of the United States fiat currency, we have now 3 days of price action going sideways from this mainly one day but double day move higher from the lows near 9100 up to where we stand now at around 10,500, 10,600 area, up to even 10,008. And the price is staying within this 18, so holding and staying above it, though. That's either that. If it holds and stays above it, we'll see that of the classic little failed breakdown. Oftentimes, from a failed breakdown, you get a fast move in the opposite direction. But it's either that or it's resisting the area where it came from in the area of support. The area where it came from in support was up to this level supported here, this support in here as well. And yeah, we'll end up seeing it. So where's the 18 average of lows? Where's the 18 average of highs? Those are the key exit points for either direction. Well, let's bring those numbers up. The highs today comes in at 11,296, so a break of 11. Better, it'll be higher than it'll be over 11,300 by the time it would get there, because it would have to calculate a newer number as it's rising. But yeah, basically 11,300 is the area for the highs and the lows. Same thing on its way going lower, although not much because it's pretty much near it, I suppose. But 10,280 would be the breakdown level. And it has to go significantly below or above that to really give it the statement that it's looking to move the direction within that side. Because a lot of this is neutrality, and as I stated from this little move in here, we have this high, we have this low. Well, if we're in the middle of it, we're in a sideways range. And if we're within the 18 average within the sideways range, that means it's it's like an extra neutrality within it. And the neutrality is where we came from on this low to this high, and really for that matter, just an entire nice bull market run that in the situation of getting above either one, the break above in here, okay, first next resistance test is 1293 or about 13,000. And then getting above that, who knows if this 15.2 would come into any point, because it could be a point of resistance maybe near 16. And it could have a huge, tremendous breakout from that point. Even further, of course, that is. I think that would be the favorite, that it would break out higher over what I'll be talking about now, and that is significant breakdown. Because now, breaking down below this, it's got to do on the 3 day, it's just only starting to lose momentum within the fact that, okay, we've had this correctionary move down to the 18 average of lows. It's really got to get at least up towards these highs, if not even breaking it, to not lose momentum. I'm not too sure which day this started. I like on the shorter terms when I go like this hour. Okay, 52 minutes left. Then I can calculate how long this candle is. So I don't know when this day started. Suppose I could find out. July 15, July 18. So it's the July 21st. So this is the first day of the candle. So it's a brand new one. And that would be for today, which is, I suppose, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Okay, well, anyway, this within this uptrend, if it does give in, of course, that you could have a wild move going lower. But I don't think that move is going to happen to the former, which is a breakout above. Of course, for yourself, it's always your own risk, your own reward. And when it comes down to it, in the grand scheme of things, there to me can only be one of two scenarios, if not both, from this point moving forward, and that is much, much higher or much, much lower. As we're in the early, if it's much, much higher, obviously early adoption phases. When you look at how much Bitcoin is on the market cap against stocks, and you look at the top stocks on the market, yeah, scroll down a few dozen, like 40 or something, and then Bitcoin would be in there. Bitcoin would be it would be like the 45th best if it was a stock, somewhere around that net number. And of course, that will go higher or lower, mostly due to the Bitcoin price, and of course also due to other stocks prices. And if you take the entire market cap of cryptocurrencies and you stick it against the stocks, somewhere around 11th maybe or 12th, the entire cryptocurrency versus just individual stocks. So if you try to think that our crypto markets and Bitcoin prices might be, so it can't get much higher than that. It's so high. Well, that's being something, or okay, something being too high, too low, too wet, or too, all that type of stuff. Those are all opinion terms or relevance. And then it's either right or wrong when you say something. Oh, it can't go up much more. If they could say 408, it can't go up much more. Well, that was wrong because it did. And therefore, to me, as I look at this, at least via looking at the coin market cap overall, same thing. This thing has either got to go much higher, six figures and beyond, or break down below four figures. Because it's either got to do the whole Tulip Mania kind of repeat deal if it's going to do the opposite. I don't see any spot in this universe where price action over the next 30 years is able to hold and stay above 980 and never get above, say, 75,000. Maybe it will, but I just don't see that ever happening. Now, switching this over to the shorter term, now the 8 hour, we'll use the Binance data for such. So that's the bottom. You have this beautiful period. Because you see how it pierces down below after like four. You can draw a trend line within those moves on the up move, resisting a key area of previous support. So it obviously had a big resistance move within that period itself, and then just destroyed it in the same period. And then what's it done since the fact? Well, we'll count this green one combination with that. So I'm not going to count this as one of the. How many has it been since? No, because even though its volatility is in the same area as all the ones that have went past it, it's really the move from this low of 9,200 up to about 10,007. It's had a failed breakout in this point we can see on this time frame. So far, the failed breakout is not only successfully correcting, but successfully correcting well. It's been 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 periods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 periods since this final green one here of just going sideways, hanging in there within the key Fibonacci. Really in the 50% retracement betweening both of those levels as well. If there's going to be further correction, well, that's definitely doable. We could retest this low, and it would probably just match up with the 18 lows. And I wouldn't know where we go from this point on, if it's going to have a significant move up, or if we're going to test 98.33. But those would be the couple next levels of support. Around 10,100 and change, low 10,000s. And then again, a break below 98.33, I would suppose, on a move. Meaning going towards it, and most likely, it's more likely if it were to go there, it'd be 96.60, then it would be 99.99. Alrighty then. So, yeah, getting it above here, some of the key levels again, but this is all just on the short term level on the single hour term time frame. This is the failed breakout yesterday afternoon, as it managed to get above this key level of resistance. But within this correctionary mode, on its first big move lower, wasn't able to get much of momentum on these two periods, and then, of course, since then, has just been resisting after the fact. Another little miniature failed breakout in here as well at 4 o'clock in the morning. And you can probably see it on the 1 minute or 4 minute. I haven't looked at it yet. And that's, yeah, so this is that little miniature failed breakout here, which happened before a miniature failed breakdown. Okay, failed breakdown, failed breakout, and now just doing whatever within its thing. Let's take a look at some altcoins. GoChain, with I talked about that yesterday, and it's having a great day today. It's in at 138, and I mean it's been getting its ass totally destroyed from these $800 highs. It's been getting its ass destroyed from these $230 lows and these $350. No, Satoshi. Yeah. Unit. Unit's a better use. Handle. Handle for the charts. Anyway, we're at the 138 handle now. It was up to about 150, a little over that, 157. And we take a look at this on a single hour term time frame today. This thing got going at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, it was had a nice little breakout yesterday at 1800 hours, and it also had a nice little breakout yesterday at 5 in the morning. Both of those previous one held. In fact, even this breakout at 3 o'clock in the morning held because it really had a correctionary phase in here. And yeah, we're having further correctionary move from this last one at 159. So that's basically how the moves work, single 15-minute term time frame. For me, I ended up getting 141 basically across the board on what I sold. I have four different crosses. I sell Goat Chain against Litecoin, against Sky, against Qtum, and against Theta. And this morning when I woke up, I sold all Goat Chain and bought all four of those coins, or bits and pieces of my Goat Chain. In percentage terms, I'm going to calculate that now. It worked out to about 20%, which is most certainly overselling. Although some of these moves were over 20% moves, and that even still is overselling. But I'm playing the Goat Chain very aggressively. If this thing goes up and I happen to oversell because it goes straight up, well, then that's just how it's going to have to be. But within such, I'm just trying to see how it works because other coins, like, say, like LITECOIN and Theta, I do not oversell, at least nowhere near this aggressively. Over my formula, I always oversell. But my formula, I'll let you know about that in just a second. Let me first bring up, say, Litecoin crossed against that of Go. And the formula is, I can probably write it down in here. It is AV plus BV. And then okay, sorry. AV minus BV. Let me just remove all the drawing tools and redo it. And even add an extra level. HAV subtract LBV divided by 2. That value amount you need to sell. So what does HAV and LBV stand for? Okay, well, H stands for highest of code A and its value. So the highest of those two numbers. Subtract the lowest of the two number you're trading, and B represents the code and V represents the value. So if you did a last trade and both coins were say worth $1,000, and then you have a significant gain where something goes up, like is a bit better, say one breaks even, we'll say now it's 1250, and then you have say 1,000, which say it just stays the same in price for easy math. Well, now we take the difference of the two, that would be 250, we would subtract or divide it by 2 for 125. So I would sell 125 of this, which would bring it down to 1125. And then that would bring this up to 1125. And that's how much you would sell. I'm always selling more than that. And in the Go chain against Litecoin, I would be selling much, much more. Because if I'm getting an average of what was like a 20% move on my trades, then technically speaking, that's like selling like 10% even of what you got. But as we can see, the price action goes down in here, which it did. I got about 6,600 and change on mine. I wasn't able to get down in here. But when we look back quickly at Go and see how the market moved into form, if I happened last night, let me just go to the 15-minute because that's what I pretty much need. If I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I would have started selling at 132, 133, 134. That's what I probably would have started selling. And then, so I missed out at selling at 133, 134 because I was able to get 141. But because I wasn't up at 545, see, ideally, what would have been perfect for me would have been to get up at 530 for this. No way. Actually, I kind of was, but then I went right back to sleep. But as we go back again to the ratio and take a look at this from a more longer term time frame, like the 3 hour, this is just getting this. Everything sold in here got bought back, and that's what I did is buy it back. You look at it via the 8 hour, we were at like close to 9,000. Well, back in June, this was at 3,900. And back in here, it was 3,400 in May. Well, then for me, I'm actually happy to see this because when things go straight up like this, you just want to get some buybacks. And then we look next at, say, Qtum, and they're all the same way here against GoChain because it's been getting its ass kicked. There's the time frame, the daily time frame against Qtum. And back here at the start of the year, and this trading range of like a little over 100 it would get up to. It would fall below 90. And then it upgraded its trading range mostly between 121 and that of 150. And then just a huge move higher. I mean, just nice. And it can be more massive, but when we're going straight up from 125 to 300, back in here, during the whole time I was down on the trade, meaning what I do is if I were to say take all of the Go chain that I have accumulated since since it started and sell it into Qtum, would that number be larger or smaller than the amount of Qtum that I sold? And before it would have been smaller, putting me in a losing position. Now it's different and it would be higher. So technically, with all the crossings that I have less coins on all four of them, but I have more coins of the other to the degree that if I were to sell the goat chain that I would need to get me back to even, as Jim Cramer's book would state, meaning if I'm say down, like say I'm down 15 go, I have 15 less go than when I started, but I got, or excuse me, I have 15 less Qtum or whatever. Actually, it wouldn't be like, yeah, we'll just say that anyway. If I were to have say 15 less Qtum, then how many go would it take for me to buy 15? And in every single case, it would be less than what I've accumulated within the trade. But earlier, that number was different. So I'm glad to see a little bit of a retracement. I don't care what happens next. I would prefer a move back down to 151. But whatever the market does, the market will do. And I'm just going to react to that situation. If it goes down, then I'll be in a much nicer cross trading position. But if it goes up here, I'm just going to play the numbers and realize that the markets will do what they do, and the math always. As long as 1 plus 1 is always 2, and it's always going to be, then the math will always work. Litecoin against Theta, or excuse me, GoChain rather against Theta. 1 back here, even at one point it was close to the point when GoChain was actually more expensive than Theta at the end of 2018. Not for long and not for much. But you go from a little over 1 to what was over 10, now down to 8 and a third. From this bottom in here, a high of 8 and a third down to 3 and a third. So 3 and a third up to 10. And then you get these little fun, little funky little moves in here like, oh, okay. I mean, just take advantage of these ones when they happen. It's like freebies. The way I look at it is, if the market were to have hypothetically traded this direction where it would have found support here, would not have broke out above here or not much above there, would not have had this, would not have had this, but just stayed in this trend range, well, then the market would have been in the same situation, other than you as a trader would have a little bit more of some extra coins because of your availability to buy or sell in here, as far as selling what's going up and buying the opposite or buying back down in here, so on and so forth. Yeah, so I'm happy to see that this took place. The Sky and Go is a little bit of an interesting one here, as it's also having its straight up move, but it had a straight up down move before in October. I wasn't trading it all back then, but we can see just its wonderful, wonderful moves that I'm looking for as a trader. Like this in here. This is a phenomenal one. Another phenomenal one here. And then just along the way, you got this up and down move, this up and down move, this up and down move. And right now we're working on this up and down move. So getting as much of those along the way while you make all the trades. And the only other thing that I traded this morning, I got 5 trades, I guess. Technically 10, because it takes 2 trades to make a ratio trade. Is I sold some Atom and I bought some Litecoin because we can see it's down today. It's down 5%. Well, it was, I guess, I mean, for me to be selling, uh, buying back, I mean, I must most certainly definitely hit the high. So the 2 numbers that I got for the high and the low, 25 and a half, and pretty much where we're at now, a little over 23 and a half. So I sold at 25 and a half, which meant I would have sold pretty much somewhere up around here. But one thing of note, and I'm really, really good at this, is being able to. And in fact, I didn't. I actually got the wrong number on the way down. But anyway, but usually I get a better number, and I don't know. I don't know if I did here or not. Maybe I did sell uh, at the top. Well, July 20th. Let me just check the date. It was July 18th that I got the number. Which again, same thing. I don't know if I would have. I didn't write the time down. I just wrote the date, and I might have got the top. Meaning, there's a good chance that the ratio was maybe at around 25.3, and I got 25.5. That's just something that I can do pretty good. But with that being said, I failed this morning. If you look at it from this method, because I ended up getting like 23 and like 2/3 when it was a little bit lower, and I kind of wanted to get a lower number. But you know what? So be it. It is as it is amongst the trading game. And if you're curious to how I do it, it's all in the more information box. And of course, I talk. And just keep watching the videos. You'll get lots of bits and pieces here and there as I continue showing these long 20, 30-minute videos. We're at 22 minutes left, but not much, or 22 minutes in, not much left to go. I'll show Litecoin and DGB, a long-term one, just to give just the example of what I like to expect at a ratio trading. For markets to just generally look something like this, just really avoid any up or down trend when it comes to it, have its individual up and down moves, and just do its thing like that. Ethereum Classic we'll look at next against Bitcoin, and at 582 handle. I was going to say Satoshi, but I think it's 58,000 Satoshi. There's 6 decimals here. Either way, it's taking a look at the setup right now, and it's nothing great, but it's something to look at. There was this failed breakout here that occurred on June the 4th. As we can see, we had this level of resistance established, come back down to the 18 on a nice higher low to this one. Exitation of the 18, breaking the level of resistance, having a significant move. Okay, so we're now going to revert the trend. We have strength amongst the 18 average of highs, and then it breaks down. But like everything else, it was really a matter of Bitcoin kicking ass against the dollar, and the other coins not doing it. And let's take a look at this on a shorter term time frame, 8-hour term. It's starting to flatten out in here. We have this 18 average support in here. And okay, well, we got 4 periods going sideways. Does anything on the shorter term state that there might be anything to this? And well, maybe actually. You have 3 candles going higher, bunch of sideways moves. I like this last period, the one that just went sideways. This one, hour and 25 minutes in, so it's halfway through, and a productive one, I would be thinking, from how the last one looked. To me, it looks as if maybe it's ready for exiting to the upside in here. Maybe come in and get to the 600 and probably even, who knows, 616, 623, maybe test some of this empty space that it has when viewing it amongst the single hour term time frame. I'm really impressed at these three periods going sideways. So something to look at. It's still got to get above these layers of resistance in here between 586 and 589. But I think if this thing is able to get into above the 590s, that it's got a very still good chance of even going higher there after that, and getting into like. And even if it does come up to like 585, 586, I'm going to be still pretty confident, especially if I see how it leaves this on a nice bullish setup like it's showing, that there's going to be even further gains there after that. Of course, your risk, your reward for how you decide to do it. For me, it's information like this. How would I think one would play it? Well, one, you buy it and then you sell it above. Good luck. And then if you're, say you own it and you're trading it, yeah, well, that's if it's going to go up, do I really need to sell at 592, 593? And I'm like, yeah, maybe not. Oh, it goes up to like 598, 599. And where would the next level of resistance be breaking this? Well, probably previous one, which is around 599 and so on. So yeah, however you want to use this information, of course, it's always up to you, your own risk, your own reward. I mean, let's look back at Tron a little while ago on its hour time frame. It was in a downtrend. Oh, look at this move. Nice. Then as it moves forward, it's in the looks like exitation here. Are we gonna do it? It's looking like it. Okay, long. What happened here? We were going long here, broke resistance. Yeah, well, you know what? Sometimes you're gonna have these moves, but and then it goes down again. Oh, and it'll happen in time. Sometimes it'll take longer than you expect. And getting above this one here worked out. Breaking above this level of resistance, nice little leg higher, nice bull run. Correctionary phase. Do we have any signs that's going to resume it here? Yep, there we are. Breaks this resistance. And you have to be fast to get that gain, and it wasn't much of one, but it was one. Okay, back into correction. There we are looking at exitation, possibly. Nope. If you got in here, maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. Amongst Tron, does this give us any indication for what's going on? It's had a good move on the 3 hour time frame. Nothing too spectacular overall. On the daily chart or 8 hour chart, this is a spot where after all of these moves lower, we had a failed breakout attempt here, a failed breakout attempt in here. And this one has had this move and just this interesting sideways pattern amongst it yet. Hasn't done anything to catch up with the 18. None of this come back to the band yet. But when I see something like this, I mean, this could go at any time for a huge gain because this is a form of a good correction as it already is within it. And right now it's enough for the 18 average to flatten out. So a move like this isn't a big statement like this breakout attempt here, like it's attempting to revert the trend. This isn't anything as of that yet. But on the 8 hour, if I see signs of either one of two things, either long continuation of grinding higher or nice little momentum breaking out past this established resistance, then I'm going to be looking on the daily time frame for this is just more than band flattening out, that you are looking to, you are screaming, I'm hearing you now, that you want to revert the trend. You're saying you want to do it, now go ahead and do it, buddy. And I say that in the level of how do we play it from here? Because if you were screaming out here that you wanted to revert the trend, you almost did it, but you failed. So you might fail along the way. And oftentimes for failed moves, well, there's the fast move lower. 18 average of lows in here comes in about 244. But if it's able to just make this move, it could happen at any time. You could see, next thing you know, it could be 9 hours later, and this thing is 373. Because when these things go, they are able to have big, phenomenal moves. And I'm never going to try to predict those types of spots for when they're going to happen. But if I ever see that they're there, and I have a non-normal type of trade or a non-minimum bet, for example, like the amount of Litecoin that I accumulated on GoChain today, it was over one. I made over one Litecoin on that trade. That's how many I bought back. I'm like, wow. I mean, it's small stakes for me, I guess, or whatever. It's smaller stakes compared to other trades, but for me to trade, I'll just quickly show. This is where I have all my Go and Sky trades. It's on. So this one here, because Sky's doing good, I only got like a 10% push on that one. It wasn't much of a trade. But in here, all of these trades, we're talking about like thirds of a Litecoin, quarters even. Now, there was a 0.72 spot there on June the 27th. Made a little bit of an aggressive trade, but after selling 3,500 yesterday, I sold 7,000 more. The ratio went from 66.73 to 81.39. That was about a 20% push. So if Tron ends up having, I trade Tron against Litecoin. If it ends up having a huge move like that, I'm trading that relatively medium aggressiveness for me. Go chain at maximum. Coins like the minimum aggressiveness would be stuff like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin and DGB, anything of the higher stakes. But for this, if it makes those moves, I'll just look at what I own, look at where my last trades are, put some numbers in. Okay, this is, say normally I'd be trading, if say for example this was a ratio I'd be trading, and I'm looking to trade at 317, but it goes up to like 390. I'm like, okay, set back, let's take a look at the numbers, let's do some calculations, figure out what is best, and then, well, do my transfer, because I don't have a single Tron, I don't think, on Binance. I might have a small amount, but I doubt it. And I checked, I do not. They're all in my hardware wallet. But they don't take long to send. You, say I get notified I have to sell. Okay, go to my wallet. After I've obviously done that math to figure out what I'm selling. Go to the wallet, send it over, go to Binance, see what the deposit address is for Tron. So go to deposit, search TRX, push the copy button. So go to my wallet, paste the address in, put the amount in, put my password in, push send. Yeah, 5, 6, 7 minutes later, I'll get it. Thank you for tuning in to today's, or the first video, probably. No guarantee on that. It might be the only. And have yourself a magnificent day. Bye-bye.